I'm Kevin Fitzwilliam with Sustainable Louisiana, and I'm with Dan Favre, who's the Executive Director of Bike Easy. Dan, good morning.
Good morning.
Why don't you tell us about yourself and about the organization?
Yeah, thanks so much. So, as you mentioned, I'm the Executive Director at Bike Easy, and Bike Easy is the local bicycle advocacy and education organization here in the greater New Orleans area, and our mission is to make bicycling easy, safe, and fun for everyone in greater New Orleans. So we work hard to make sure that there's policies and plans in place that help keep people safe who are riding bikes. So specifically that looks a lot like bikeways on the streets or paths like the Lafitte Greenway here. Part of the reason that I love doing this work is I think of bicycling as a tool to help create greater improvements to our region, right? So that's where you see, you mentioned people coming out for fun and recreation. Well, that's improvements to public health, right? But we also can think about improvements to job access, people being able to bike to work, right? Over almost 20% of the residents in New Orleans don't have access to a vehicle. We really believe that we can promote equity and enabling folks who don't otherwise have access to transportation options. Bicycling can be a really good option. We really like to look at job access, health and health equity, but then of course just quality of life. It's still the best part about riding a bike is the joy of it, and it's really fun, and so we really like to think about how it improves livability and quality of life in the region as well.
So give me an overview of what's the state of bicycling in New Orleans right now.
Oh, we're on a serious roll when it comes to biking in New Orleans. There's a lot of really great things going on. Since the year 2000, there's been an over 300% increase in the number of people riding by the best data we have, which is riding to work, as they captured in census surveys and the American Community Survey. We have gained over 120 miles of bikeways. A bunch of those are shared markings on the street, which we're not so into, but we're really looking forward to seeing a lot more protected bikeways. And when I say protected, that means that there's some physical separation with those little plastic flex posts with the reflectors, or planter boxes, or even something like this on the Lafitte Greenway where it's an off-street path that really feels protected. And everyone deserves to have their place on the roadway, no matter how they get around, whether you're traveling by bicycle, in your car, on foot, using transit. So we really want to make sure that the streets are built to share for everyone and can be safe for everyone.
What about Connect the Crescent?
So Connect the Crescent is an effort that we have going right now where we're going to be working to put together a 3-month pop-up demonstration that really transforms the streets and engages the community in a conversation around how we can shift the designs of our streets to more equitably and accessibly provide for everyone, no matter how they're getting around. So specifically with Connect the Crescent, it's an effort that's kicking off in September of 2018, where we're going to build out 3.5 to 4 miles of protected bikeways on a temporary basis. So it'll last for 3 months. It's with temporary materials, and it gives people an opportunity to really experience and feel what it's like to go riding around on these really safe and easy bikeways.
So talk to me about complete streets.
So complete streets is the idea that all streets should be built to share so that they're safe and accessible for everyone, no matter how you travel, who you are, where you live. So specifically that looks like bike lanes and crosswalks and pedestrian signals and sheltered transit stops, traffic calming, nice trees on the side of the street. So lots of what goes into a complete street. It's also a policy approach. So it's really crucial that the city of New Orleans, Jefferson Parish, all the cities around the region adopt complete streets policies that help guide how that type of street is built to share.
All right, so I know that when Barone Street was going in, the bike lane on Barone Street, that there was a lot of press about it. There was some, maybe not everything was positive. There were some worries, I would say. Talk about the pushback. How did that bike lane work out, and has there been any pushback about bike lanes in general in the city?
When we talk about the streets as bikes or people walking, it can cause some discomfort for some folks. Most of that is just in perception. So when the Barone Street bike lane went in, it had a minimal impact on traffic. Traffic studies have shown, and lots of people are riding that bike lane. Unfortunately, it's not the perfect design, and we're actually looking to upgrade it to make it even safer and easier for people to ride bikes on, and actually easier for people to drive on that street as well. But we do see pushback from time to time, and I think again it's just a cultural shift that's occurring across the country, but especially here in New Orleans. I think it's really been a fantastic journey so far.
So what about Louisiana Boot?
So the Louisiana Boot is a project about linking the different trails that are throughout the region. We're actually calling it the Bootlace Network, as a way to connect all of southern Louisiana with off-street paths like this and trails that help people get all around the region.
Awesome. How safe is it to bike in New Orleans?
Well, it's getting better and better all the time. You know, there are definitely risks involved with riding bicycles, just like there are risks involved with driving. You know, I recently read an article that was written by a good friend of mine that showed that actually the amount of traffic violence, so crashes, whether it's in cars or people walking, people biking, far outweighs the crime rates in the city of New Orleans. So things have been getting much better, and we've seen it actually has gotten, well, more and more people have been biking in the city of New Orleans over the last 10-15 years. Crash rates have gone up a bit, but at a lower rate than the number of people biking. So we actually have seen an overall net gain in safety for people riding. Unfortunately, walking in New Orleans is really dangerous, and so we need to continue to just make sure that we're building complete streets, that we're having networks of bikeways that enable people to get to wherever they're going on their bicycles easily and safely, and I think we'll get there. I think we have an opportunity to make New Orleans one of the best bicycling cities in the country.
Yeah. So what's in store in the future?
Oh, well, we've got lots of great stuff coming up. We're looking forward to, over the next couple years, seeing a lot more protected bikeways being put in place throughout the city of New Orleans, continuing to educate young folks and old folks and everyone in between on how to ride safely, how to drive around people riding safely, lots of community events, and again, really just looking forward to seeing the bicycle infrastructure, both the bike lanes and the physical infrastructure, but also the social infrastructure, the cultural pieces of how bicycling really works into people's lives and is part of our social fabric here in New Orleans, and I think we're well on our way to accomplishing all of that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So you can eat.